Please welcome a leader who defines what it means to build success through service, strategy, and heart, Scott Hodes.
There you go. Good afternoon. Everybody's been sitting very patiently listening to all these amazing humans. I'm going to diverge a little bit from my presentation. I think I'm the only one in the room here that's had the honor of being fired by Andrea twice because I knew better and she didn't. Had to have a conversation with James to say, no, I'll do what you say what you do, and the rest has been history. I'll correct some of the information. I've been in the business since 1991. I started when there was dirt and no TV and no internet. My company is pretty amazing. We're sort of rebels. We run a very interesting business with 5 offices, and the only reason I'm going to show you this data is because I want to chat about the experience of dealing with chaos and change. We have 5 offices, 1,200 licensed real estate brokers, and when you hear the word broker in the state of Washington, the state decided 5 years ago to change the name of a real estate agent to broker. So when I'm talking about that, I'm not talking about the guys that are running your offices. Broker equals agent in the state of Washington. We do roughly about 4,500 to 5,000 closings a year, and somewhere between 4 to 5 billion in annual sales, and like you said, about 5% market share. One of the things that I've found in dealing with my life is that change is inevitable. The question is, how do you deal with it? Chaos is optional, right? And that, for me, I love change. And the question I have on the screen here is, how do you thrive during disruption? Look at what's happened the last 3 years. It's been controlled chaos. And I think those that understand when there's a disruption have the ability to dive in and take advantage of that. How we respond, I think, defines our success as human beings, not only just in the real estate space, but just in life in general. I view life, and I have sort of 2 major personality types that I see in the world. There are those that are bricks, and I bet you everybody in this room here has people that are inflexible that they deal with, are difficult to deal with, will not listen to you, will not participate unless it's their vision of the world. Those are folks that I choose not to have in my life. I choose to be Gumby. I think being firm but flexible and having defined boundaries allows you to be a creative human being and set guidelines for who you want in your space emotionally, mentally, and how you treat other human beings. So remember, how many people are in the business in 2020? I want to see some hands here, all right? So what did you think when March came around and your world was ending? Did you think your world was ending? Well, fast forward 2 or 3 months. Look at what happened. For me personally and the company, we had the best 2.5 years we'll ever see in my 34 years of being in the real estate business. And those that figured this out met a lot of people, built a lot of positive relationships, and at the same time sold a lot of houses. I think how we respond to chaos is twofold. For me personally, I run to the fire. I like change, challenge, I like opportunity. My question for you guys is, do you run to the fire or do you withdraw when you're not sure what to do? And I'm hoping that it's the latter and not the former. I think that change always equals opportunity. And by the way, when I did my presentation, I called James and I said, what do you want me to talk about? And he said, just be you, which is a very scary thought for anybody that knows me. I don't follow the rules very well. I don't like no very, very well. And I'm a guy that will look at something in a very warped sort of way, at the same time trying to do what I want to do, which is uplift everybody around me. I have 21 employees. We have roughly 1,200 brokers. My job every single day is to try to figure out how can I make life better for the agent brokers that are in my world. And everybody in the community in King, Pierce, and Snohomish County and Washington State, I treat all of you the same, whether you work for my company or not. I'm a big Papa Bear. If you're having a problem, it's not unusual for me to spend an hour on the phone with somebody and say, here's how you can probably sell your house better if you listen to me and follow some simple things. So look at what happened. Remember back in 2020, look at what the federal funds rate was. It was 0.25% or so. And that meant that the interest rate for homes were somewhere between 2.5% and 3%. We were booming. When I bought my first house, it was 13%. And I wasn't in real estate. I didn't know any better. And then look at where we've gone from there up to where it's been like 7.5%, 7.25%. I'm pretty much rate agnostic. I don't really care what the interest rates are because people still need to buy. People still need to sell. And I think that's the key. It's a mindset. You don't want to let that kind of thing affect you. We have everybody in the room. We have inventory drought. We've had this for almost 3 years. And I'm one of the causes. I'm 69 years old, and I'm mentally 19, and I have an interest rate on my house that's below 3%, and I don't want to sell and get a 6% interest rate if I was going to have a mortgage, because if I sell, I'll just go pay cash for the next house. But there's 7 to 10 million of me out in the world that are causing you guys to not have enough houses to sell, right? Here's the hardest one in the world for me, and if you guys want to reach out to me, I have a process that I've put in place that I'm happy to share. It's called a needs and wants sheet. I put this together 25 years ago. I can talk to somebody, hello, never seen them before, and in less than 5 minutes, literally know everything about what their hopes and dreams are. They'll completely break down what they're thinking about doing. They'll tell me everything that they want, from bedrooms and bathrooms and views and garages and location and everything. And that becomes the guiding light for me to service a buyer, not as a commodity, because I've been talking to one of my co-speakers here. I detest the word deal. I hope that everybody in this room never, ever uses it again, because I believe real estate's about relationships. Long before James and I ever met, I started with Brian Buffini in 1991, and he turned me on to using the word relationship and transactions and give, ask, receive. So what connected me to James was he took every single thing that was out there in the world, all the folks, the Brian Buffinis of the world, combined them all into one. I've never seen a process in my real estate life that's like what he's created. It's amazing. And he honored me by allowing my son Chris, who is just brand new in real estate, to become part of the Fusion team without having any real estate sales. So I still thank you to this day, James. Look at what happens in life. I always say life gets in the way of real estate. Wouldn't you guys say that? I mean, I've heard all these stories, and I never in a million years thought that what I was going to be talking about, the similarity threads between what's been on the stage, is just utterly amazing to me. I think we are all part of a really big, huge community, and we all are feeling and doing and dealing with the same kind of stuff. And the part that we're dealing with right now that's blowing my brain up, I didn't pay any attention to AI until January of this year. Now I've changed the whole culture of my company. We're changing every system that we're doing because I want to give my brokers more time. If you have more time, then you have more life. The key in life in real estate, somebody was talking about not working on the weekends. I haven't done that in 20 years. I want a life. And one of the things that somebody taught me was my wife. She said, Scott, you're just like your dad, which was not a very good thing to say, because he spent his whole life traveling around the world, did not participate in the kids' lives. He was more kind of the brick sort of dad, very high-level executive, love him to death, but didn't know when we were doing soccer and baseball and hiking. She said, listen, you're missing out on your kids' lives. So I scheduled appointments that just set appointment. It'd say Ryan, it'd say Chris, and I wouldn't tell my clients, hey, I got an appointment. And I'd be going to swim meets, I'd be going to violin lessons, I'd be going to see a soccer game, and nobody knew the better, and I became a much better dad. Thank you, Julie Hodis. And what's flying at us right now, I tried to come up with something that would symbolize all this negative streaming of information. If you think about what's going on in our world right now, it's really hard to disconnect from all this negative stuff that's coming your way. But I find if you sort of disconnect from that a bit and focus on the people that you love, the people that you like, and your clients, that all sort of goes bye-bye. Every presentation needs a picture of fat Peter T. Cat, okay? This is our family cat. This is what I aspire to do every day. If everybody in this room can be like him, and he wants his belly rubbed every moment of every day, that's the key to life, I think, to be a successful real estate agent in the United States. Okay? So I'm going to whip through some of this stuff. So control the controllables. Everybody knows what that means. Focus on what you can influence, your daily habits, calls, follow-ups, lead gen, all of that stuff. I mean, you've heard enough of this from everybody else. You don't need to hear it from me. I love crows. I think you take a look at this dude here. Look at what he's doing. He wants his hunk of meat. And so he's going to take and figure out a way to get that thing out. And I view that's what my job is all day long, every day, is to be a crow and take a tool and figure out how to adapt. I think community and collaboration is the key to existence. And I want to say this because James said I wasn't allowed to swear too much, but I'm going to say, who calls you out in your bullshit, okay? Everybody in this room has their private life and their public life. You need people in your life that'll say, you shouldn't be doing that, Scott, right? You should be doing something else. The saying is, you can't stop the sun from rising, but you can decide to rise with it. So I'm going to tell you the story of my son, Chris Hodis. Hopefully I don't cry. In 2020 of March, when the world was ending because of COVID, I have 500 real estate brokers in my Bellevue office. I had to close the offices down. Everybody here had to go home. All the businesses were closed. And a third of them were calling me, yelling and screaming at me about why couldn't they get into the office. Chris knew everybody in the company, is one of my top managers in the company, and I downloaded with him. I get all done, and he goes, "Are you done whining now, Dad?" And I go, "Is that what it sounds like?" He goes, "Yeah, that's what it is. You've been such an asshole to people the last 15 years. You need to learn to be more kind and more patient. I think that would help you and the company." So I put a little sticky on my monitor, said, "Be kind, be patient." Took about 6 months, changed my behavior completely. People noticed, all my employees noticed, most of the people I communicated with noticed, and it made me a better human being. So fast forward to October 29th of 2022, Chris died of a fentanyl overdose. He was a heroin addict, and he'd been sober for 3 years. I had just given him a $50,000 a year raise. He had a wonderful girlfriend, new apartment. He went in for surgery for something with his sinuses. The doctor gave him opioids to cure the pain. Within 2 weeks, he was dead on the kitchen floor. So I had to do something. How do I take this grief that's enormous, and everybody's talked about this area of despair? Well, you can't get much worse than having your son die before you. So he loved ducks. So he loved be kind, be patient. So to date, I've handed out about 3,000 of them. I'm giving you guys little gifts. They're coming around right now. The next time you're really pissed off about something, just think about being kind and being patient. I put a little card in there. I get these from China, and you know all that's happening with all the stuff going on in the universe. I will be more than happy to buy several thousand of these. I find I leave them everywhere. That's my youngest son, Ryan. That's in London. That's Stonehenge. On the right is me in London buying a hat at a hat store. That's the beach in Washington. That's at a drag races with my crummy fingers. That's at a Who show. The song I played at the beginning is about from The Who, one of my oldest bands from high school. I've seen them like 100 times. Got to see them for the last time 6 weeks ago. Chris absolutely loved The Who. We were in Edinburgh going to see the castle, and I saw this sign, "Be kind, be patient, be considerate." The two on the right are the ones that I'm the happiest about. I got really burnt out being in Edinburgh with all the humans, and I ducked into this Scotch store because I love single malt whiskey. And the guy was having a really bad day, and I always have ducks in my pocket. So I gave him a duck, and we chatted. I told him the story of Chris and got a big smile on his face. He sent me a bottle of Scotch that I paid for. 3 weeks ago, I called the store, and said, "Hey, I need to buy more. It's a crisis. I don't have any more of your amazing Scotch." And the guy remembered me. And he goes, "You know, you changed my life and everybody's life in the store, because we deal with so many difficult tourists that Duck is sitting by the cash register, and every time he wants to get angry or annoyed at somebody, they think of that, and it helps them along in their life." So the key to life, I think, is being kind and being patient. Here's some fun pictures of my son. Pretty amazing. I want to thank you for the opportunity, you guys.